Imagine this. You walk into a huge murder trial, you think you know the story, and then bam, the defense lawyer, in like 22 minutes, just completely flips the script.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened in the Florida versus Donna Adelson trial. Quite the opening.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into that defense opening statement. We really want to unpack how the attorney, Jackie Fulford, took this narrative that's been around for ages and basically forced everyone to ask, okay, where's the actual evidence versus just, a strong motive?
Right. Distinguishing story from proof. It's crucial.
And our mission here is to look at those tactics, the legal arguments, and honestly, why understanding this stuff helps you get better at telling the difference between a really compelling story and, well, actual verifiable proof.
A skill we all need, really.
Okay, let's dive in.
Yeah.
So the prosecution gives this really intense opening, takes about an hour, and then Fulford gets up, and she starts, well, subtly, a bit of self-deprecating humor, joking about musical chairs with the lawyers, calling herself old-fashioned next to the state's pretty cool tech displays.
Humanizing right off the bat, disarming.
Totally. It felt like she was just trying to connect. But then she drops the hammer. She says, look, for that whole hour, the prosecution talked motive, motive, motive.
Right.
But not once, she says, did they show any evidence that Donna Adelson actually planned this murder or hired anyone or, intended for Daniel Markel to be killed.
And that hits on, well, a really critical legal point because motive, it makes for a good story, absolutely. But it's actually not an element the state has to prove for any crime.
Oh, interesting. So it's not like on the checklist for the jury.
Nope. The judge will tell the jury for first-degree murder, conspiracy, solicitation, you need proof of specific acts. Did she do something? Did she say something specific to make this happen?
Okay.
So Fulford is setting up what we'd call a sufficiency challenge. She's basically saying, hey, prosecution, you need to show us enough actual proof of Donna's actions, not just a theory, however convincing it sounds.
Right, like show us the receipts connecting her specifically.
Right.
Wow, that's bold doing that so early.
It is. It frames the whole trial.
Then what really caught my attention was this pivot. Kind of unexpected. The defense actually starts praising the victim, Daniel Markel.
Oh, so.
Calling him, a Harvard law professor, a devoted dad, mentioning he read bedtime stories over Skype to his little boys, like 3 and 4 years old.
Okay, building sympathy for him.
Yeah, but then, get this, Fulford points out that Donna Adelson was the one who actually facilitated those Skype calls when the kids were with her.
Whoa. That directly contradicts the narrative of her just wanting him gone, right?
Exactly. It subtly chips away at that idea of pure malice the state was painting. It's complex.
It sounds like they're building towards what you might call the sacrificial son defense.
Explain that.
Well, they're not denying the murder happened or that the trigger men, Garcia and Rivera, did it. They're convicted. I'm not really denying the intermediaries. Meg Banner and Charlie Adelson were involved either.
Right, Charlie's convicted too.
Exactly. So the defense points to Charlie Adelson and says he's the key figure here, the intervening actor, those payments to Meg Banner.
Yeah.
They claim that was Charlie's money from his safe, his decision. Donna? She was just the bookkeeper at the dental practice.
Just doing her job.
Pretty much. Arriving at 7:30 a.m., running meetings. The meticulous employee, not some criminal mastermind pulling strings.
Okay, so if she's just the administrator, that weakens the state's whole motive argument. And Fulford went right at that motive too, didn't she? The relocation file.
She did.
Pointed out it was legally settled. Done. Over. A whole year before the murder.
Right. Asking the jury, essentially, does this make sense? Would a 64-year-old grandmother arrange a hit over something that was already resolved?
It makes you pause. And then they didn't shy away from the violence either. They used a replica gun. Described what Garcia and Rivera did.
Focusing on the real killers.
Yeah, making it visceral.
Yeah.
And they argued the state was using, what do they call it? Narrative proximity.
Ah, yes. Meaning just because she's related or disliked Markel or processed payments as part of her job, that doesn't make her guilty.
Right. Fulford's line was powerful. Proximity is not participation. Relation is not conspiracy. And dislike is not murder.
That's a strong statement. It really crystallizes the defense's challenge. And, if the prosecution can't produce that direct evidence linking Donna, then you could argue this whole trial becomes a kind of prosecutorial tragedy, a failure of duty, asking the jury to just speculate, to fill in massive gaps. Yeah. The defense's challenge is stark, really. Show us the evidence or let her go home.
So this whole deep dive, it just really throws into sharp relief that huge difference between a story that feels right, that makes sense, and the actual hard legal proof you need.
Absolutely. Fulford showed accusation isn't conviction. Theory isn't evidence.
And in this world just overloaded with information, where narratives get pushed as fact all the time, you really need that same critical eye. You have to ask the hard questions.
It's about media literacy, critical thinking, all of it.
This case is such a lesson in how compelling stories can sometimes blind us. So here's something to think about. When you come across a really powerful story, maybe in the news, online, or even just talking to people, how do you figure out what's actually proven versus what's just?
Well, a persuasive narrative or maybe a convenient theory?